What's up, everyone? Happy New Year. Welcome to Better Plays Ahead, powered by the Game Day. We're on to Week 18. We're breaking down our favorite bets on the Week 18 slate, several games with playoff implications. I'm joined, as always, by Sam Wagman. What's up, Sam?
Doing well, man. This is a weird week. So, we have a little bit of a shortened week. There's no Thursday night football anymore. So, in place of that, we've added a couple extra bets to our main slate betting card. And week 18, last week of the regular season before we head first into the playoff matchups.
Yeah, exciting times. Before we get into it, a reminder to go to thegameday.com, check out our promotions for FanDuel. We got a lot of great stuff happening there. Moving on to the first segment, the chalkboard. This is where we take either a popular pick that the public is riding, maybe a favorite, or in this case today, where I chose the chalkboard pick, I'm going with what looks like an easy pick to me. And when I say easy, I don't mean it's guaranteed to win. I mean it's just keeping it simple, and it's going with the under in the Rams and 49ers game. And the reason why I'm saying it's keeping it simple is because I'm just taking an under in a game between two teams with nothing at stake. The 49ers have locked up the number one seed in the NFC. The Rams have locked up a wild card spot. The Rams are starting Carson Wentz at quarterback. The 49ers are starting Sam Darnold. So why not roll with the under here? The starters will not be playing. You got to think Christian McCaffrey's already out. You got to think the others, Debo, Ayuk, Puka Nacua might stay in just to break the rookie record, which is like 29 yards. Cooper Kupp may not play much. So it's a game of backups, and I'd rather just, keep it simple and roll with the under here, even at 41.5. What do you think, Sam?
Yeah, I think in a matchup like this, where the only team that has anybody playing for anything, like you said, Nakua with the rookie records, is the Rams going against what is already a stalwart defense. And even if they have some defensive guys sit, that defense and secondary should be able to shut down Carson Wentz. Absolutely no problem if it's the same Carson Wentz that we all know and love to hate, one of the others. And then on the other side, you got Sam Darnold playing. No Brock Purdy this week. Like you said, no Christian McCaffrey. I doubt, maybe Shanahan plays Ayuk and Debo and Kittle for, a quarter. If that, he's not typically a guy to bench his starters from what I remember. But, we'll see what happens there. The thing with this is I'm with you. I don't expect a lot of points to be scored in this game. So I would feel very comfortable heading with the over. They've definitely adjusted it, for this, but I definitely think this could be a 30-point game.
Yeah, and plus a trend that we often see is in divisional matchups in the second game of the season, they tend to be a little lower scoring than the first matchup, with just an added bonus to this play. But we'll move on to It's a Trap. This is where you look at what you think is a fishy line, and you explain us what side you're taking. You're looking at an AFC South clash with huge playoff implications, Texans at the Colts.
Yeah, I mean this right now is a wild card win and in game for both of these two teams. But if the Titans end up standing tall and beating the Jaguars, this becomes a race for the AFC South. So a lot of things on the line here. Home playoff game. Everybody wants a home playoff game, especially in the AFC there. And I'm rolling with the fact that I think, this isn't necessarily a fishy line. I'm kind of intrigued as to why the money is the way it is. You go on wagertalk.com, it aggregates all of the books, the major sports books on there, and it aggregates the bets and the handle. And 91% of the bets and 96% of the money is on Houston. And in a game, in a matchup where Indianapolis won the first time at Houston, now they're in Indy at Lucas Oil Stadium. Why is Houston, who is going to be missing three of their offensive playmakers? You already got Tank Dell out for the season. No Noah Brown in this game. No Robert Woods in this game. Why are they suddenly, not massive favorites? They're 1.5 point favorites. But why is the money so in their favor? It makes no sense to me. This is a game where I think Indianapolis should be favored, even with CJ Stroud back in action, playing well. I really think this is a spot where Indianapolis, feels a lot more comfortable. Their run stopper, Grover Stewart, is back for them as well. They've been playing well recently, coming off that nice tight win against the Raiders last week. I think Indianapolis is in a really good spot here. The Texans are 3-4 on the road this season, and this is the spot where Indy wants to win as much as the Texans. So I felt like this money should be a lot more evenly spread, and that's my main reason for taking this. I think that Indianapolis is the better team in this matchup. I've been on them for the past 2 months. This is a spot where I think Indianapolis is going to win. So I'm on the other side of this matchup.
Yeah, so I think the reason why the public is gravitating towards the Texans is really why I'm against you here. I like Houston, and just putting your money on CJ Stroud, the stud, like Stroud over Minshew. That's probably what the public is thinking here. But I get what you're saying. They beaten the Texans. They're at home in this one. They've been better at home. Shane Steichen is an absolute stud of a head coach. So this game could really go either way. It should be a really exciting one. I do like the Texans because I'm a sucker for Stroud here. I think he comes up big in the big game, but you've laid out, good reasons to go with the Colts. It could really go either way. Moving on to the betting board. We've got you. We're going to stick with you here. We're going to stick with this Texans at Colts game. And you like Michael Pittman to go over 23.5 for his longest reception.
I do, and I was, cramming through the books looking for a longest reception play that I wanted to make. I wanted to take something in the Miami and Buffalo game because I do think there's going to be a healthy amount of offense there. I'm not so sure about the points, but I do think there's going to be a lot of offense in that game. But I eventually settled on this because I really like Pittman, who, came back to not have a stellar game, but he had, a decently solid game. He had 5 catches. Last week for 48 yards, and what is a pretty typical game for him, about 10 yards a catch. But I really feel like this is a good spot for him against the Texans, even though he didn't surpass this total in the first game against them. He's 8-7 against this number on the year. And Houston has allowed an explosive play on nearly 15% of their zone coverage plays, which is the 8th worst number in the NFL this season. And while Pittman has played really well against man coverage, he's played arguably better against zone. He's got a 48% win rate against man coverage, but that number soars to 62%, which is a top 10 number in the NFL when he goes against zone coverage. He's just a very good route runner across the middle of the field. You've seen how Steichen will use him. He'll run him creative, with deep out routes. He'll run him crosses across the middle of the field. He'll get open for, downfield shot at some places. So I really like the fact that Pittman's able to separate a lot better against zone coverage than he is against man. His separation rate is 2.28 yards of target separation versus 1.74 in man coverage. And then Houston's really strong against the run. So I feel like this is going to be a spot where Indianapolis has to throw. And we just saw, Amari Cooper explode for 265 yards against this defense. And Amari Cooper is kind of the same archetype of receiver that Michael Pittman is. Both guys are tall. They like to run downfield. Both are solid route runners. I think that Pittman is going to have a very solid game here. I actually think he gets over 100 yards in this game.
Yeah, I like that. As you mentioned, the Texans are much more vulnerable against the pass. I'm going to add a couple stats here. Look, Chris Moore last week on the Titans had a 32-yard catch. DeAndre Hopkins went for 72 yards. He had an 18-yard catch. So I could definitely see this one hitting for you. I'm with you. Before I go to my next pick, in the chat, we got Dennis saying, if you had to bet Steelers -3.5 at the Ravens, what side do you have? I got to lean with the Steelers here. They're playing for a playoff spot. The Ravens are, they locked up the number 1 seed. Lamar Jackson is not playing. It's Tyler Huntley. I think Pittsburgh gets it done on the road. I parlayed them in a money line parlay with the Texans because I'm a little hesitant to lay -3.5 just because they need to win by more than a field goal. But if I did have to pick a side, I'm on the Steelers there. What about you?
Wow, I'm actually on the Ravens here. And this is because of how simplistic the offense has been laid for the backup in Baltimore, who we all know, former legendary Pro Bowler Tyler Snoop Huntley out there. I love Tyler Huntley. Plays exactly like Lamar. Obviously he's Lamar. He's budget Lamar Jackson. Runs like him. He throws the ball like him. And more importantly, he loves to throw the ball to his tight ends. He knows the strong suits of this Ravens offense. He's been there for a few seasons at this point. We've seen him, guide this team through playoff matchups. We've seen him play, extensively as a Baltimore Raven in this system. I think he fits really well in Todd Monken's offense there. So I actually do think, despite the fact that we're going to see a lot of Ravens starters sit, the Ravens are deep enough on offense that I think Melvin Gordon, Charlie Kohler, Rashad Bateman, if he plays, I think all those guys can lead the Ravens to a win over the Steelers.
Yeah, it should be interesting. The Ravens could still be up for, eliminating their longtime rival Steelers. But I will say I like the Steelers. But hey, we'll see how it goes. On to my next pick. I'm going with the Tennessee Titans plus 4.5 at home against the Jaguars. The Titans have had a disappointing year. There's no denying that. But we can't deny that Mike Vrabel is a very good head coach. He's going to have his players hyped up for this game. They have a chance to play spoiler and potentially eliminate the Jaguars from the playoffs, really. Not even just from the division, but even not making the playoffs. I believe if they lose and certain things happen, they won't even make it. And it's really because the Titans are much better at home. They're 4-3 with a plus 30 point differential at home. That includes a 27-24 win over the Chargers, a 27-3 win over the Bengals, 28-23 Falcons, 17-10 win over the Panthers. And then their 3 losses were each by 3 points to the Colts, Texans, and Seahawks. Even if they lose in this one, I really think they'll keep it close and put a scare in a Jaguars team that should have Trevor Lawrence back, but we can't really assume that he's at 100%, and we've seen how he's struggled while playing injured. So give me the Titans with Mike Vrabel getting his boys hyped up and ready to play for this game.
Yeah, I wasn't going to go for this because I have an Indianapolis Colts divisional future that steps into place if the Titans win this game anyways. So I'm already, rooting for the Titans as it is for that to lock into play.
Smart.
But I really love the Titans in the spot. A Jacksonville offense that's looked really dysfunctional over the past, month. I'm completely tossing the aberration that was last week's game against the Panthers because nobody plays bad against the Panthers except for that one CJ Stroud game, where the Texans randomly self-destructed. But nobody plays bad against the Panthers, so I was expecting of that. And plus, Travis Etienne did all the damage in that game anyways, not the passing game. I'm with you that Trevor Lawrence is most likely not 100%. He's dealing with about 16 different injuries right now. And I really like Vrabel in this spot. This is possibly his last game as the head coach of the Tennessee Titans. There are plenty of rumors out there that he and new general manager Rand Carthen are not fans of each other. Carthen probably wants his own head coach in the building. Vrabel's been there. He's got a lot of respect from the players. Caused some, friction between front office and the head coach there. And Vrabel would want to go out on his own terms if possible. He's that kind of guy, and nobody is better than as an underdog than Mike Vrabel in his career. He's won the most games as an underdog comfortably in the NFL currently as a dog. So I really love the Titans in the spot. There's plenty of room for them to play spoiler in this division and knock the Jaguars out of a playoff spot. I expect them to fight hard. And I expect, DeAndre Hopkins and Derrick Henry to have some really nice games in this spot if they end up playing.
Yeah, and to your point about potentially being Vrabel's last game as a Titans head coach, this is probably really likely Derrick Henry's last game as a Titan. Mm-hmm. He could go out on a high note with a home win, playing spoiler against a division rival, and we get it past the key number of 3. We get them plus 4.5. Sign me up.
Love it. This is a smash spot, and this number has been trending down. It was obvious. It was at 5.5 yesterday. So we got some sharp money coming in on the Titans. So it's obvious that the sharps are with us. I think this is probably a public Jacksonville back spot, and we get some nice CLV potential coming in here too.
Yeah, love it. Should be interesting. Moving on to your next pick. You like Josh Allen over 1.5 touchdowns. That's anytime touchdown. So that's got to be a rushing touchdown.
Correct.
And you got it at plus 475. I like it, but you can tell us why.
Yeah, absolutely. And they've adjusted this number. I must have got a weird number for them. This number has been bumped up to plus 525 on a few books. I love it, even though it's moving in the opposite direction. Allen's rushed for 2 touchdowns in each of his last 2 games. He rushed for a touchdown earlier in the season against the Dolphins when they shellacked them. I think this is a really good spot. Under Ken Dorsey versus under Joe Brady, the rushing splits have been night and day for the Bills. They were a very pass-heavy team under Dorsey. They've switched to being a really, really run-heavy team under Joe Brady. Allen's rushing the ball over 8 carries a game, which is nearly 4 carries a game more than when Dorsey was the OC for the Bills. So I really like this spot for Allen to get in the end zone a couple times. You're obviously getting a good price at 5-1 here for Allen, who loves to run the ball in. He's got 7 or more rushing touchdowns in each of his last 3 seasons. And this is a good spot for them, at the goal line to really just go Allen inside the red zone there, because no Jalen Phillips, now no Bradley Chubb. They're not going to be able to get a lot of pressure on him. It's just going to be Christian Wilkins down there, trying to defend the gap by himself. I really like Allen to be able to sneak into the end zone here. And, this is a good spot. Bills need to win this game. Allen is comfortably their best player. They might have lost some confidence in Stephon Diggs in the red zone. We haven't really seen him active down there at all. And I'm not really sure they have anybody else they really want to rely on in the red zone right now. So I think Allen rushing the ball inside the 5 especially is going to be their best bet.
Yeah, I love this. Josh Allen has 8 rushing touchdowns in his last 5 games. Like, as you said, Joe Brady is using him as a runner more. And we even saw, like, recently they're starting to do the tush push from the Eagles as well. So, Josh Allen has 16 rushing touchdowns on the season. I believe he's 1 away from the single season record for the Bills, franchise record. And his anytime touchdown is like minus 150 in most spots. So
I saw it at minus 105, but I think that was the earlier number.
Yeah,
I think that was the earlier
it's
weird
moved
number.
up a lot. So he's very likely to score 1. Taking a shot at him scoring 2 at this great price feels really nice. And an alternative that I like, I parlayed the Bills money line with Josh Allen anytime touchdown. Like you, I'm really bullish on his rushing production in this game, and I don't think a banged up Miami team is going to be able to win. I think they're home underdogs in this one for good reason, and I think the Bills get it done.
Yeah, if the when I saw it was minus 150 as well. It's down to minus 145 on DraftKings. I just randomly saw it on my Hard Rock app at minus 105. I mean, if that's the price, I'm rushing to bet
that's
that.
Nice.
Right now. So I really love that, and I think it's a great play there.
Yeah, love it. Moving on to my next play. It's the Jets and Patriots under 30.5. I know it's so low, but it's 2 teams with nothing to play for, with terrible offenses in poor weather conditions. It wouldn't surprise me if this game ended like 14-10, 13-10, 10-7. It's going to be as ugly as it gets. And I think they just sleepwalk to just the final whistle. This one, there's really not much else to say. 2 bad offenses in bad weather. Give me the under.
Yeah, we've definitely been burned a little bit by these low unders this year. I believe when the under is 34 or lower this year, I think all the games have gone over. But I wouldn't be shocked if this one is, like you said, a 15 to 20 point game. I have no faith in either of these offenses at this point. They've let us down supremely. The Jets playing for pride. The Patriots. The only thing I can think of is that Belichick might want to go out with a bang, and what might be his last game as the head coach. Same with Robert Saleh. His name's been rumored to be on the hot seat as well. It's all I can think of as reasons not to take this bet. But otherwise, this is 2 messed up and really, really bad offenses here. So I'm with it.
All right. Moving on to your next play that I saw you added in, and it's really sneaky. I like it. You're going with a backup tight end who's going to see likely more action with the Ravens resting starters. That's Charlie Kolar, anytime touchdown plus 600.
Yeah, speaking of likely, I don't expect him to play a lot in this game. So, we obviously Lamar Jackson is sitting here. Not the wisest decision by John Harbaugh, but it is a decision he's making. I wouldn't want to be sitting my quarterback if I was going to have a bye, at least play him for a quarter. I expect the starters to play some, but then I expect this to be all Kohler as far as the tight ends go. And like I said before, Snoop Huntley loves to throw to his offensive strengths, and that's been the tight end position. Now, when Huntley came in last week for Lamar, in mop-up duty against the Dolphins, he had a touchdown pass. Guess who that touchdown pass was to? It was a 19-yard strike to Charlie Kohler. And this number's been bet down a lot. It dropped last night at 11-1, and it was immediately swarmed by people who have alerts on for that stuff. Much smarter people than me. Didn't see it until this morning. It was like, God darn, I need to go bet that right now. So I went and found the 6-1 that I got on this now. Love Kohler. Really good receiving tight end out of Iowa State, was Brock Purdy's teammate while he was there. Hadn't seen much action. He's only seen he's only had 4 receptions this year. I believe he had 4 receptions last year as well. Obviously played behind both Andrews and Likely. Only came in for mop-up duty and blowouts. But Kohler's a really talented guy. He moves really easily. He's 6'5", 250. Moves really well. This is the perfect scheme for him, in a tight end heavy look. And Huntley targets his tight ends at a really high rate. With Andrews healthy last year, Andrews was the top target in every single game that Huntley was the quarterback of, all 5 of those games. So, like I said, Likely probably sits, after the first quarter, definitely after the first half. I can't see the Ravens risking his health with how dynamic and explosive he's been able to be for this passing offense. So give me Charlie Kohler here. I think the Ravens honestly win this game handily, and I expect Kohler to at least catch 1 touchdown in this one.
Yeah, I really like that. Good value on a young player who will have a chance at an enhanced role due to the rested starters. I'm with it. Going on to my last pick, it's back to that Texans-Colts game. I'm taking C.J. Stroud over 263.5 passing yards, and this really just comes down to the fact that he's been much better indoors. I'm just pulling up the stat that I had here. He averages here. Hold on, I'm trying to. So he averages around 260 passing yards per game. I don't know where my tweet went on it, but that moves up a lot more to around 290 in indoors. Mm-hmm. And they're going to be playing this one indoors. So he's taking on. So here, I got it. So C.J. Stroud, apologies, listeners. C.J. Stroud is averaging 274.6 passing yards per game. That jumps to 303.9 in indoor games. Stroud's playing the Colts. That game is indoors. The last time they played earlier this season, C.J. Stroud threw for 384 yards. I'm just betting on him to really show out and step up in a must-win game. He's had such a spectacular rookie season. I'm a big believer in his talent. It's not like the Colts pass defense is that tough. So I'm rolling with Stroud over here.
Yeah, I think this is, a pretty fair line. It's not something that I think there's, anything to exploit too much. I love Nico Collins' line, so, I might find my way onto this line. The only thing I will say is that the run game has been pretty pitiful for the Texans in this game. And with how strong the Indianapolis run defense is with Grover Stewart in there, that could limit their ability to kind of move the ball seamlessly, and that could impact the passing game a little bit. Would be one of the only reasons I would stay away from it. Not too huge. I mean, if the Texans are forced into a really trailing script, there's a potential they just air the ball out and Stroud gets there by a matter of attrition. But I'm with it to a degree. I'm not sure if this is something I'll be riding on with you. Given the fact that so many of the offensive playmakers are going to be out for this game. But we will see, and I think the number is very fair.
Yeah, I do agree in that it's not like a number that jumped out on me. This is just me riding with Stroud in an indoor game. I feel that. I think he's going to really step up. But yeah, I do definitely agree with what you're saying in terms of it being a fair number. But that wraps up our show here. Thank you for listening. Good luck on your Week 18 bets. Be sure to, check the gameday.com for our FanDuel promotions, among other sports books. We got great betting content there, my weekly parlays. Sam looks at matchups to exploit, which is really helpful, even with player props bets. Even with the fantasy season over, you can look at that article and help you, with your player prop selections. Stay tuned at our newsletter, which still continues despite the fantasy season being done. We still have a lot of betting content there. And check us on social. Sam, take us out.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you guys for tuning in with us. And look, we're not going anywhere. We'll be back every week, through the Super Bowl, except for the dead week that the Pro Bowl is on. And we will be back for all of the playoff games with you. And we will see you next Thursday morning instead of the afternoon.